Well, I started my career as an Olympic weightlifter, and basically I always trained around powerlifters. Always the question was asked, what could you do if you do a powerlifting competition? And literally from day one, that was always in my mind since I was 15. Eventually I was going to do some sort of powerlifting competition. So I went through my Olympic lifting career, I won the Commonwealth Games, and with the level of support in this country, there really weren't too many directions to go in. So I thought, well, I'll maybe give powerlifting a go. And I started watching some videos on YouTube, and I come across a video of Steve Goggins doing a 500 kilo squat at 1100 pounds. And then when I saw that, I thought, yeah, I want to be able to do something like that. And then I watched Steve's other lifts, and to be honest, we're built very similar, like the way we're built is very, very similar. And so I thought, hang on a minute, if someone like that could be that amazing, what can I do if I try and do the sport myself? So Steve was a big inspiration to me to get going. Also Andy Bolton, I went along to a few powerlifting competitions, and one of the competitions I went to, I saw Andy Bolton do like an all-time world record in the deadlift, 422.5, and that just blew me away. I thought, I want to maybe give that sort of thing a go as well. I want to, because I always knew I'd be able to deadlift big. It's a question of how much I'll be able to deadlift. In Olympic lifting, we've done a lot of clean pulls and that sort of thing, so I really never tested my maximal strength. So that was always the direction I thought, hey, what could I deadlift if I tried? And then you look back through the sort of history in terms of other lifters, then Ed Cohn. I watched Ed literally from day one I started lifting, there's always in the gym powerlifters, and Ed Cohn's name always come up. So I looked up Ed Cohn and I watched a lot of his videos when they were on Eurosport, when he won the IPF World, and he'd done an amazing squat with like 423 kilos in a single ply suit, which quite frankly, he might as well not bothered putting the suit on. And that just basically put me in awe. I thought at some stage I am going to give this sport a go, but I had to see my Olympic lifting career out first to achieve what I wanted to achieve there. Those are the main inspirations. And there's also one other inspiration as well. When I used to train at Crystal Palace, I was constantly doing Olympic lifting, and I'm like a lot of the older powerlifters will know this person. A lot of the newer names to powerlifting won't. Was Tony Stevens. He was like multiple time IPF world champion. I see Tony squat like raw 330, walking out the racks with a crappy pair of knee wraps he might as well not be wearing. And at that stage he was like 50 odd years old. And Tony always, every time I walked into the gym for like probably gone for 15 years maybe, Tony's like, when are you going to do a powerlifting competition? When are you going to do one? So eventually I thought, yeah, I'm going to give this a go, and then I finished the Commonwealth Games. I failed to qualify for the Olympics for various reasons, and I thought, right, time for a change, so I swapped over to powerlifting. With the Olympic lifting, in this country in terms of the way the weightlifters train, my training was a little bit different. I used to do like amazing amounts of volume, and when the lifters like watched me train, they were like, how on earth do you do that? And I went through a stage in my Olympic lifting career before the Commonwealth Games. In terms of consecutive, like 200 plus kilo clean and jerks, I've probably done more in consecutive competitions than any other British weightlifting in history. There's probably people who maybe clean jerked a little bit more than me, but my consistency was always there from one competition to the next, always doing 200 plus kilo clean and jerks. So for me, the big part of that was volume and training and the intensity. I used to do sort of like 5 sets of 3, working at 80%, so I'd be in the gym maybe up to like 180, 190 kilos, doing 5 sets of 3 on a clean and jerk. That's 4 clean and 4 jerks. Which, if you count up, like you've got the clean as the movement, the jerk, that's 2 separate movements, and very explosive, so that's quite draining. And I'll be doing that literally week in, week out, that sort of volume of training. And that brought me right up to the sort of standard lifting I went to compete at. In powerlifting, since I started powerlifting, the way I've trained has evolved a lot over a period of time. When I first got into it, I basically used what I knew from Olympic lifting and just trained the power lift the same way. Then I looked into different techniques. So like when I first started, I was quite a narrow stance squat, and even with the equipment, it was a narrow stance. And I saw some of the West Side videos. I saw people like Chuck Vogelpool with a wider stance. And I sort of think, if I'm going to excel in this sport, I need to evolve how the way I lift. I can't just be an Olympic lifter doing powerlifting. So I need to basically turn myself from being an Olympic lifter that does powerlifting into a powerlifter. So I looked at all the various techniques and made the changes as I went along to a wider stance squat, more of an arch in the bench press, and actually being a deadlifter rather than an Olympic lift, doing a clean pull as a deadlift. So I had to change my technique completely to make it into a legitimate deadlift. I've changed the way I've trained a lot. Well, I've used the Windler. I used that for nearly a year, and I got good results on the Windler. I've used the Cube, which everyone knows about, which is an amazing program, and I'd recommend it to anyone. But for me, the way my body is, I train so much time as an Olympic weightlifter and building up. So basically, I'll do a cycle where I build up to a peak over, say, a 6, 8 or 12-week period. Then I'll drop back down and build up to a peak again. I feel I need to go back to doing that. So with the Cube, for me, I maintain my strength great, and I was doing a lot of competitions close together, and I was very, very consistent. But for me now, I want to make a lot of progress. I want to go back to building up to peaks for competitions, do less competitions over the year, and try and sort of push myself forward that way. Because with my job, I think I need to give my body more recovery time after competitions. I work quite a lot of hours each week, and they're quite intense hours as well. So I need to evolve the way I'm training from that. So that leads on pretty much, I'm going back to a lot of the techniques and everything, and the training system I was using in 2012. And basically, when I was doing that, all my lifts in competition, everyone used to think, wow, you can do 20 or 30 kilos more. Which in reality, if I had the level of competition to compete against, I probably could. So for me now, I want to compete in big competitions. So I've done the days where I do the qualifiers and the British Championships. I want to do big international competitions so I can really push myself against the best level of competition. So in that day, I need to go back to what brings me back to my best and actually test myself more. So rather than sort of getting to a weight and just stop it, I think, hang on a minute, I need to try another 20 or 30 kilos more to really sort of push the boundaries of what I can do and actually show people what I can do, rather than people say, oh, maybe you can do another 30 kilos more. What I need to do is put that weight on the bar and do another 30 kilos more to show everyone that I can actually do it. Yeah, for me, really, looking back on things, I think it could be a blessing in disguise sometimes, these injuries. My deadlift technique worked for me, but I got to a stage where they basically put too much emphasis on the hamstrings. And then I tore my hamstring at the World Championships. I finished second, so it gives me a chance to go back to the drawing board, make some changes. I'm making some changes to my deadlift technique, which I think will be quite big ones, and then sort of evolve from there. Because sometimes you lift big weights, but you never look back to how am I going to actually do this better. So for me, I've looked back at my videos and say, right, this is what I've done with that technique, great, but I need to look at now, what am I going to do to make it better for myself, and also reduce the risk of reoccurring injuries. Because I've injured my hamstring at the World Championships, and I had a great cycle, and then the injury reoccurred a couple of weeks ago. But lucky enough, it wasn't quite as serious as the World Championships, so I was able to come back from it quite quickly. But to me, that just gave me time to think and see, well, I need to change my deadlift technique. So basically, there's not so much pressure put on the hamstrings. And also, I've got massively strong quads, so maybe I need to bring that into the deadlift to give me more power off the floor, and then actually that'll help get past my sticking point, which I've suffered with a little bit recently. A lot of it's recovery from training. Cass is probably not the best sleeper in the world, so normally you don't get the best night's sleep. But he's getting better now, and what I had to do initially is drop the volume right back and start to basically sort of work along with it. So if I felt good one day in training, really push the boundaries on it. If I didn't feel particularly good or fatigued, then sort of just cut the weight back a little bit and put more of an emphasis on speed and technique. But now I've got past that stage, so the recovery is a lot better, my body's adjusted to different types of training, sleeping pattern also work's a big one as well. So I work quite a lot of hours over the course of the week. So now my body's adjusting to that, I've got a whole new training system in place to work alongside it. I'll try and basically recover the best I can, so what I tend to do is don't train more than 3 times a week. But when I train within that period of time, I train 3 hard sessions a week, so nothing's really sort of backed off or anything left in the gym. Oh yeah, massively. Sometimes when you train on your own, or you train with people, no disrespect, I've had some great training partners over the years, which are probably not on the sort of same level of sort of competing in high level competition, then you're always doing enough to stay ahead. So if me and Scott are working on percentages, and then we do, say, a rep week, and Scott's got to do, say, 6 or 8 or whatever it may be at, say, 75%. If he does his set first, there's no way I can go in and fail to do 8. So the competition's set there. So every training session is like a competition, and neither one of us likes to be beat that way. So in terms of sort of pushing it forward, that's a great thing. And also motivation as well. Scott's always there for when I train and vice versa. In that way, you're never left in the gym on your own, sort of train on your own or unmotivated to train. and the common goal is the same as well. So always sort of building up to the sort of same sort of competition, so our training cycles pretty much work out the same. Oh, massive. Like financially, basically it saves me a lot of money. Like say I've got BioX, the UK distributor, that's sponsoring me, so that's all my supplements taken care of. And they are top quality supplements. I've tried a lot of different supplement ranges in the past. They're on par with the best. I've got a Sussex Bacon Company. Basically all my sort of meats and anything I want, so chicken, steaks and everything else provided for me. Literally I go over there and they'll support me in terms of whatever I want to do. So they're absolutely fantastic. Now I've got the Strength Shop, they've been amazing though. Since 2012 I've been sponsored by Strength Shop, and literally Brian at Strength Shop, whatever I've needed, Brian's make sure I've got. I needed a squat bar a couple of years ago. Literally I said, Brian, is there any chance to have a squat bar? Literally the next day a squat bar arrived at my house, ready for me to train on. So when I moved to training Hastings, we didn't have decent bars or anything like that. I needed a Texas Power Bar. Otherwise, literally on the bars they had in the gym, I'd probably end up injuring myself and never make it to a competition. I asked Strength Shop, is there a possibility? Same again, next day a bar arrived at my house. All my knee wraps, literally all my strength needs in terms of knee wraps, wrists, wraps, foam rollers, belts, everything, Strength Shop are all covered. And they've actually been a brilliant sponsor, and to be honest, they've made things a lot easier for me. My main goal to start off with is to win the European Championships and put some big lifts out there to win the European Championships. Then after that, I'm probably going to look at doing sort of deadlift only competition and then really push the boundaries of my deadlift. And then possibly by the end of the year, look at doing a quick competition as well. Because at the moment, I'm looking at putting an ebook together about my whole lifting career, from Olympic lifting through to powerlifting, how I made the transitions, and all the different training methods I've used, which comes up to the sort of training method I've had to adapt and use now due to work and lifestyles and everything else. So I'm trying to give people more of an insight of how I actually train, rather than people speculating on the way I train.